It's like an example of the power of community-driven contributions. And today, in 2023, we celebrate a remarkable milestone. The impact of the Commons app on Wikimedia Commons and beyond has been extraordinary. Over 100,050 Wikipedia articles now incorporate pictures uploaded via the app. Next slide, please. And now we will dig deeper into how we prioritize our work at Wikimedia mobile apps team. Our commitment to transparency, of course, is the core of how we prioritize work by aligning with the movement strategy, setting clear objectives through the annual plan, and listening to the valuable feedback from our community. We aim to create an inclusive and thriving app for free knowledge and sharing. The Wikimedia movement strategy serves as guiding beacon in determining our priorities. It's collaborative, community-driven effort that outlines our long-term vision and goals by engaging with contributors, partners, and users worldwide. So we gather valuable insights that shape our direction and help us focus on areas that have the most significant impact on knowledge, accessibility, and sharing. But for our annual planning process, it plays a crucial role in translating the broader movement strategy into actionable plans for each year. So the annual plans sets specific targets and objectives that align with our strategic goals, enabling us to allocate resources efficiently and prioritize initiatives that contribute most effectively to the growth and sustainability of our projects. And finally, feedback from users and our community. The heart of Wikimedia lies in our vibrant community of editors, readers, and contributors, as we said earlier. Their feedback is a constant source of inspiration and valuable input. We actively seek feedback through various channels, such as our mobile support emails, feedback loop page on MediaWiki, and our newsletter and office hours and meetings like this one. Understanding the needs and the perspectives of our community helps us identify areas of improvement and prioritize projects that resonate most with our users. And now I would like to hand it over to Jasmine to contribute and continue with the next part of our presentation. Jazz, please go ahead.
Thank you. So again, my name is Jasmine Tanner, and I'm the lead product manager for apps at the Wikimedia Foundation. And part of my role as a product manager is to think about within the strategy, the annual plan, and then all the feedback we're getting from different users, what should we focus on? And so there are some heuristics that I developed with the team in order for us to think about what makes sense for the apps team to decide what things we prioritize bringing to the app or making improvements. And so the first, one of the most important things is, does it make sense for mobile? Sometimes folks will say, I really love this aspect of a feature that is on the web or desktop for Wikipedia. Can you make it look exactly like it is on desktop? And that doesn't benefit folks who are especially mobile only users. And so we spend a lot of time thinking about, okay, even if we were to bring a feature or idea to the app, how do we do it in a way that makes sense for mobile devices? The next thing we think about is continuity. And so this is if you go and you use, let's say, even if you're still using a mobile device, but you use the web version of a mobile device and you edit, that your edits are recognized on the app platform. So we want to make sure as you go from one platform to another, that you have a continuous experience, even if it doesn't look exactly the same. The next is accessibility. And so when it comes to accessibility, That could mean a lot of different things, but what it means for us is making sure that we're testing and considering folks that are low vision users, people who are multilingual users. Is it easy to go back and forth through different language Wikipedias to read and to edit? Users that don't have reliable internet connections. And so especially because when you're on a mobile device, you may be in transit somewhere, or you may not, and your internet may cut out. And in those situations, what should you experience? And then also making sure that, and this is something that, Sudden may be able to answer, folks have questions later during the Q&A, but making sure that it's really accessible to contribute to our code base, because we are open source and we do encourage folks to submit code, even if you aren't working on the apps team, if you are a volunteer and you want to contribute to our code base. So making sure that it's easy for people to do that. So accessibility in that regard is important for us. We care a lot on the apps specifically about having a personalized and customized experience. So basically, if the web is for everyone, then we think the apps are for you. Even though, Wikipedia is kind of like a park or a garden, it's a shared space, but we want, when you go, you have your own specific experience that meets your unique needs. We care about innovation, which is important with apps. What are like the latest trends, and also what are things that are specific to the platform when they release something like Apple Vision? How do we support people being able to experience Wikipedia in those new ways? And then the next thing that's really important for us is safety. Just as Benedict laid out some ground rules at the beginning of creating a safe space here, we want the experience through the app to be safe as well. So these are some driving factors when we decide what to work on. And I think it's helpful, especially as we talk about like ideas, to keep that in mind. And then the last thing is level of effort versus impact. It may take years to do something that could be really impactful, but we can maybe find a project that's just as impactful that maybe takes months. And so sometimes we'll prioritize the thing that takes months over years to make. Next slide, please. So with that in mind, our roadmap, it has basically 4 buckets. So it's custom learning and discovery, quick but impactful contributions, meaningful connections, and platform reliability. Next slide. So for custom learning and discovery, these are just a few of the projects that we are working on in the apps. And during question and answer, if you would like us to go into talking about any of these, we can, but I'm going to touch on one per bucket. So for custom learning and discovery, right now, for folks that have iOS devices, you can look up what articles are around you based on your location. And that's really helpful if you want to just like learn about, what's happening around you through Wikipedia articles, or even see where there might be gaps in information that you can fill. And for Android, we had that feature. Some of the technology that we relied on became outdated for those maps. So we actually had to remove the feature, but we're re-adding it because there's another provider for maps that is now making it available for us to bring the feature back. So that's something that Android users will have again soon. Next slide. For quick but impactful contributions, something that's in progress is watch list. So this is a feature that's pretty common for people who are editors on Wikipedia who want to track, what new edits are coming through on a specific language wiki. It exists on Android currently. We are adding it on iOS. And so this is something that was really good for mobile devices because you have now a feed of edits you can see in your hand. You can thank someone for the edits that they made, or if you see something that is a destructive edit for a particular article that you care about, then you can undo it now on your mobile device. Next slide. Something that was also really important was to have notifications. So if someone was to thank another user or comment on a talk page to communicate with them, previously you had to go down into your settings in order to find those alerts, which was not ideal. And so we made it more discoverable. And there's also now push notifications, which is something that makes sense for a mobile device, that if you do want to opt in to receiving push notifications to not miss out on any messages you receive, you can now do that with the app. Next slide. And then platform reliability. There is currently offline support in the app in some ways. So, earlier Amal mentioned Kiwix. And so with Kiwix, that's a different platform. You download the entire Wikipedia language for one language, and you have like all of the articles at once. Whereas in the Wikipedia apps, you can choose which articles you would like to download and save them in an organized reading list. And you can also now share the reading lists as well on Android and receive them on iOS. We'll be working on sharing it on Android soon, but that's some of the offline support that we have right now, of being able to read articles, even if you're not connected to the internet, if you save them. And we're continuing to think about what are other things we can do to improve offline support. Next slide. And I'm going to now turn it over to Sudden, the engineering manager for the apps team, and he'll tell you about some other things we're just keeping our eye on.
Hi, everybody. My name is Joseph Seddon. I tend to go by my last name, Seddon. As been mentioned, I'm the engineering manager for the mobile apps engineering team. I'm also a long-time volunteer. I mostly edit on the English Wikipedia, and my current topic of interest relates to science experiments on the moon. As with any software project, there will often be long-standing issues, sometimes challenging to resolve. These are things that we're always looking for opportunities to improve, but sometimes these things take time. Sometimes the issues behind them are complex. One of the most sort of visible ones is often things that relates to dark mode. So our apps provide the ability to change the theme. You can have a variety of themes, but one of the challenges that we face is that because we're taking the output from web and we're transforming that, we're changing that so that it is less cluttered, so it's more appropriate for a mobile screen and mobile display. What that means is that we then lose some of the theming when you're then changing colors. We've been exploring this about different possibilities. Dark mode is something that web currently does not have at all. And one of the sort of various things that we're sort of trying to explore is can we aid the community in being able to provide proper theming for various dark modes? We've been looking at how we can make improvements, so we can add in new rules. So for example, if an info box has a specific set of colors, we can try and make adjustments. We can just ignore the theming for the info box so that the default theming appears. We also are looking to see if there are ways in which we can sort of provide new ways of transforming colors from the standard theme into the other themes. But it's one of those long-standing issues. It's quite complex. Wikitext is very complex. The way that Wikitext themes itself and how that interacts with the rest of a web page is also complex. And so, yeah, that's probably a prime example of a very prominent issue that people often report issues to us. Tables, the ability to sort tables. It's a very useful feature. It's a feature that I think everybody expects. One of the challenges is that the ability to sort tables is provided via a particular script, and something that's not currently available to the apps teams. It is something that we've been looking to improve, and we've had an engineer exploring the topic, and similar things to like the graph extension, that it relates to, again, the provision of JavaScript. And only very limited JavaScript is provided via the web view that we have, and not a web view, although it is a web view, but I'll try not to confuse you. And then there are other things. So, for example, iOS doesn't provide support for particular files. This has been a long-standing issue. It often affects not just the apps, it also affects mobile web. Currently, the foundation is looking to be able to provide more consistent multimedia file support. This has been a long-running project. There are many different types of files, and support for that on iOS has always been a bit of a challenge. But we're hoping that specifically to playback of videos will be far more better supported on iOS. The rendering of galleries, we often get feedback on. It's something that we're currently looking at. And maps, as Jasmine mentioned earlier on, we're really keen to get the Places feature back up and running on Android, and it's something that's sort of scheduled for later this year, and I'm really excited to see that feature come back. I'm a big fan of it on iOS, and I'm eager to see its return to Android. Yeah, I think that's probably it for this slide. And so I'm going to bring up another slide, which is a list of frequently asked questions that might sort of bring some questions to the front that people might want to ask, but I think this is probably also an opportunity for people to ask us any question on any related topic. Jasmine can correct me, or Amal can correct me. Sounds good? Wonderful. Yeah, so these are some questions that might prompt you to ask, but I will leave the floor open for people to raise their hands and ask any questions of any of the three of us.
Hey, thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks to the mobile team, Joseph, Amal, Jasmine. Thank you so much. Please, I just also wanted to, before we jump into the question and answer, to make this announcement for those on YouTube. Feel free to also drop your message on the comment section. I will help you. I will just be your mouthpiece. I'll help you to read out the message so they could answer it for you. Already I could see a hand raised up. And for those on Zoom here, if you have any question, just use the raise hand icon. Or if you prefer to type the question, please use the chat as well. But one key thing to note is, please, once you finish asking the question, for those that will be unmuting themselves to ask, once you finish asking the question, please mute yourself back so we can respond. Yes. So without further ado, James, your hand is raised up. Feel free to unmute yourself and ask the question. Hi, James.
Hi. Thank you for the opportunity. So I have a couple of questions, but I don't know if I should ask all at a go or I should ask one at a time. So my first question is, why can't we upload, say, MP4 directly to Commons? And why do we have to convert to WebM or WebP, either with the web application or with the mobile application?
Hey, good question.
I'm happy to jump in on that particular question. So it all comes down to licensing. So a lot of these file formats have been created often by corporations, and whilst their usage might be free from cost to people creating files, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're free from cost for people trying to use those files or to leverage those file formats on their platforms. And so MP4 is an interesting one because whilst the patents for some aspects of MP4 are expiring, there are other aspects to MP4 that still haven't fully expired. Ooh. Sorry, there's an open mic.
Yes.
I've just muted that. Apologies if I rudely muted you. I didn't mean to disturb you, but yeah. So MP4 is one of these file formats where basically we may be able to utilize it to allow people to upload directly. We have explored the possibility of basically converting these file formats server side. Unfortunately, some of those patent issues that I mentioned earlier on means that there is still some legal ambiguity about whether or not we can utilize those file formats on the server side without having to pay for the licensing. And because we're a free software project, as well as an open source software project, then we are hindered by the licensing of these types of file formats. So that's currently why we can't upload MP4s to Commons. I believe that there is a fabricator task. I will try and dig that fabricator task out and share it with you, but I know that it's a topic of debate that's gone on for some time, both in the technical community, but also within the broader community as well.
Thank you so much. James, I hope that helps to answer the question. You mentioned you have a couple other questions. So do you want to ask one more before we give the next person?
Yes, so
James, the
the
mic is
final, yes. So the final question is around the use or deployment of PWAs. So for example, I know XTools has a number of tools that mainly web-based, but have there been explorations some of those applications can be converted, allow for optimization on mobile?
I'm really sorry, James. You were breaking up for me midway through that question. Would it be possible if you could just repeat that? I might be able to piece the rest of the question together then.
Okay, so the question was that, for example, if you take XTools, there are a couple of tools that are there, but most of them are, should I say, they are optimized for web. So that means you need a desktop to be able to utilize it properly. Right. So I was wondering if there is a possibility, or if there are plans to sort of, should I say, convert these into PWAs so that they can be used on mobile, just so that contributors can have, more legroom to contribute without necessarily having to go into a desktop app. Because I've realized, for example, that when you're trying to contribute, let's say, a new article on Wikipedia, the experience is way different than if you are doing it. The experience is way different if you are doing it on a desktop versus if you are trying to use a mobile app. So if there can be some explanation on why that's the case and how the mobile apps team is working to evolve that.
I don't know, Sudden, if you want to answer the why is it technically like that, and I can answer the what we're planning to do about it. Or I can answer whichever.
I can definitely answer some of the progressive web app stuff.
Okay.
So one of the challenges with progressive web apps is that they are still relatively new in the history of the web. And so it is something that has been explored by the web team. The difficulty is support across all platforms. So Chromium-based browsers support progressive web apps. They are unfortunately not supported, though, on iOS and iPadOS. They are also only partially supported by Firefox and Safari. I know that in terms of progressive web apps, it is something that has been explored. But in terms of sort of expanding the potential means of contributions via the mobile apps, this is where I will hand off to Jasmine to pick up on.
Yeah. So I won't make a ton of assumptions of the preference for the desktop editor for the app editor. I'll just speak on personal experience and I'll talk about how that applies to our roadmap. So I recognize that as an editor, the desktop editor, whether you're using Wikitext or whether you're using visual editor, it's easier to use than the native editor within the Wikipedia apps. That's because, you know, the editor on web has been built a lot longer than even the existence of the apps. And so because of the amount of like engineering work that has gone into building the editor on desktop, like it performs a lot better. This is something that we want to improve. And so you see that in some of the earlier slides that Amal shared, where we shifted from a power reading experience to micro contributions. The reason we did micro contributions was, again, when we think about like impact versus effort, what are some types of contribution ways that people could, edit on Wikipedia that we have the capacity to make it a not too painful experience. And we were able to get like helpful information on that, but we do recognize that our native editor, there is more to do. And so there are some recent improvements we actually have made to the editor on Android. The iOS team, they're getting a dedicated 6 months to make improvements to the editor on the iOS app right now. And we are thinking like long-term of what would it be like to have a full-on WYSIWYG editor. WYSIWYG is like the visual editor. What would it take for us to build something like that natively? That is something that will take a while to develop. So while we're making improvements, and it should be less painful to edit in the apps, as far as it being exactly the way it is to edit on desktop, that might take some time. So I encourage you the only way we can keep improving it is to keep hearing feedback. And so while we can go back and share this feedback about progressive web apps, like please continue to also give us feedback about the native editor so that we can continue to improve it.
Awesome. Thank you very much for that. So one question that have come up from the YouTube channel is, I think Ifunanya James is asking that what's the best way to delete an article from the app?
That's a great question. Right now, you can't. But this is again, something that we are working on. So something we have on our roadmap for the next year, for 2024, specifically around the spring, we're looking into first, how can people create articles within the app? And this is something that is going to require some research. So the reason we're going to work on it in the spring of 2024 is because our research team is going to be having lots of conversations around the right way of allowing people to create articles within in the app. And then once this one is not technically challenging, it's more like politically challenging. So we want to make sure that we get it right and talk to the community and go about it the right way, but it's not actually going to be too technically, like right now we can make it, you click a red link and then you can pull up the editor, but we need to think about things like templates, the info box, like how do we show that? Those are the parts that are more challenging. And so then once we figure that out, then we can figure out, okay, what is the right way for someone to delete an article or even nominate an article to go into the queue for articles for deletion. So like, I promise it's something we're like actively thinking about.
That's good. Great. It's nice to hear that the team is thinking about this. Also want to point out that I've seen some questions on the chat. Thank you, Amal, for responding to most of the questions. One common question that have been coming up, I keep seeing people asking the same question, is the app on the Play Store? The answer to that is yes. So the app is on the Play Store, both on Play Store and on Apple Store as well. So you can find it there. Just a quick question, again, is how many mobile apps, or which mobile apps does the Wikimedia mobile team support?
Yeah, so the official Wikipedia app on Android and iOS, our team supports this. And then for Commons, the volunteers primarily work on the Commons app. We do provide support to them. And so if there's like any issues where, let's say something got flagged in the Google Play Store where they're not compliant and might get pulled down, then our developers will actually go and actively help the volunteer developers on the Commons app. But as far as like deciding what features, they have autonomy to do that. For Geo, the Geo app, we like the Wikipedia apps team, we are responsible for the Geo app. And then for iOS, there's actually another team that we support, and they are responsible for the iOS app called the Anuka team. And I'm not sure if Purity is here on the call or not, but she's the product manager for the Anuka team, and they work on the iOS version of that.
Awesome. I can see lots of questions on the chat. And again, I'm trying to, so James again is asking, oh yeah, I can see it. He's just asking if there are plans to integrate maps on the Wikipedia project. And then how do I access? Somebody's asking, how do I access my watch list? So I think some of them Joseph has provided us. So it's a little bit, I can see Joseph responding to some, Sadam responding to some, Amal responding to some, which is awesome. Please, if you have any other question, please feel free to, and you feel like speaking out, feel free to just show of hand and I'll let you have the mic, or the floor rather. Yeah.
Would it
So
be helpful?
Quick question.
Oh, sorry.
Pardon? Okay, so another question.
No, you go first.
Another question I wanted to ask is in terms of support. So say for instance, someone from Wikimedia Africa wants to do something around a mobile app around Wikidata or any of the wikis. In what way do your team have any support for such a person?
Sorry, can you ask that one more time, Benedict?
Oh, okay. So the question is, if someone from Wikimedia Africa is thinking of building something, building a mobile app, could be relating to Wikidata or any of the wikis, what kind of support can they get from the mobile team?
Yeah. So they're welcome to reach out to share whatever the ideas are that they have. And if they have any like specific questions, we normally are pretty willing to like help guide folks in the right direction. So remember the Commons app, like this is volunteer led. They kind of do their thing. And then when they have questions, they reach out via Amal, and then we will provide support. Sometimes we'll do like code review. So some of the engineers will do code review. And if there's something around like, can we use a specific logo for something, then we'll field that question to our legal team. And so as you have questions, like please reach out to Amal. We're here to support.
Awesome, great. Lastly, I know we're running out of time, but I can see Eugene's hand is raised up. So Eugene, please feel free to unmute yourself and yeah, go ahead. Eugene, if you can hear me, your mic is still muted. Okay, try again, Eugene. Can you try now?
Okay, thank you very much.
Awesome.
All right, really, I would like to thank the apps team for this wonderful and awesome presentation. My concern is about the translation because I'm more concerned about the low resource languages and wikis. So how is there any challenging part concerning your work on translation on mobile? And also what direction are you planning to take to help this underrepresented languages in terms of translation?
Yeah, thank you for that question. So the first thing, we try to make sure that any languages that are recognized, it's in the app. So if there's any like small language or a variant that you feel like is not in the app, all you have to do is reach out to our support email. We will add it into the app. We normally get it in within like 2 weeks or so. So that's number one. If you're not seeing like a specific language wiki that you use in the app, we can add it. So that's number one. As far as translation, we actually have some micro contribution tasks that are specifically geared towards translation. And so I encourage you to check it out and let us know the things that you like about it and the things that you wish were better. If you know of some of the features from the language team, and if there's specific features from the language team that you like, let us know. And if it currently exists in the app, we can point you to where it is. And if it doesn't, that'll be really helpful feedback for us to make improvements on what features currently exist.
Thank you for that. One other question I've seen, interesting, is considering most of us like sharing things. So is there a way, and this question is from Equinogo Favor, she's asking, or he's asking, is there a way to share an article? Say you write a very beautiful article on your mobile, can you share it with a friend?
Yes, you can. If you go into the overflow menu, or the other thing is on the apps, and this is something exclusive to the apps, you can customize your toolbar. And so if you're like sharing is something I do often, you can go into the overflow menu and there's an option that says customize toolbar, and you can make it where the share button is always there and easy for you to access. And it'll pull up a bottom sheet. when you can decide where you want to send it to. And so you can easily share articles. You can also, on Android right now, you can share reading lists. So if you put together a list of articles that you want other groups, or you're like, hey, this is the Wiki Mentor recommended article reading list, you can share it out with folks. So it's something you can do right now, and it's very easy to import that list into the app to be able to see it, save it, customize it, rename it, whatever you want to do. So that's something you can do. And then you can also receive them on iOS. You'll be able to share out reading lists on iOS before the end of this fiscal year, which is like by next July.
So thank you so much. I know we are right on time. So I have a very, very quick, will I call it survey to do for those who are participating on this call. But before then, a question that have been popping up here, I don't know if I would call it a question or a comment on the YouTube channel, is people are asking, are we going to be having like another session where we would have like a demonstration session to see all of this? Amal, I don't know if you want to jump in for that.
Yes, definitely. This is something we can work on and prepare.
Awesome. Thank you very much. So the quick survey I want to do now is how many of us have any of the wikis, the Wiki Mobile, be it Wikipedia or Commons? How many of us have downloaded this, have it on our phone? If you have this, just show of hand or on the comment section. So far, I can see just one person. Okay. Just show of hand if you have Wikipedia app or any of the apps. Awesome. Great. So we're having a lot of people, and if you have not downloaded the app, I wonder what you're waiting for. I mean, it's easier to just do this on your mobile, make edits and what have you, contribute to the wikis. I mean, contributes to the sum of all knowledge, right? So yes, having said all of this, I want to say a very, very, very big thank you to the whole team here. Amal, Sedom, Jasmine, thank you so much for coming on board to share this amazing and give us this amazing insight on the mobile team. I know there are lots of questions that are probably unanswered for those who participated and have questions. I would recommend that you push your question to the Telegram platform, or you can reach out to Amal for feedbacks. But before I do the final thanking and what have you, I want to ask Jasmine, said, Amal, do you have any last comments for us or last word for us?
Yeah, I do. If you aren't using the app because you feel like there's something that's not there for you, I encourage you to reach out to us. We really appreciate feedback. Even if we can't act on everything right away, we can at least give you an idea of whenever the thing that you are most interested in will be available. And otherwise, please try out the app and give us feedback. If you are into development, try out contributing to some code. If you want to know some easy things you can work on, we have there's the hackathons from the foundation, and we typically have at least one developer go who would be able to kind of share some projects you can collab on. So yeah, thanks for joining the session and appreciate your time.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Jasmine. Sedam, you want to say something for us? Do you have anything for us?
No, I just want to say thank you for having us. It was a very wonderful experience and fantastic questions. And yeah, if anybody wants to reach out to me just about contributing to the code base for either of the Wikipedia apps, feel free to drop me an email, a message on my talk page. You can find me in lots of places on Wiki. So
thank you very much. Amal?
Yes.
Thanks.
So I'm so happy I'm with you all today, and I'm excited for what you could do by using the app. Next time we will meet, I hope we will have like 100 of readers and editors on the app. Thank you all for being here and for coming to this virtual meeting.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Again, if you have any feedback, any feature you would like to see on the mobile app, please feel free to reach out to any of the team. Particularly, you can reach out to Amal. This is Amal's email address. It's on the comment session. I will also be dropping that. It's on the chat session. I'll also be dropping that on the comments section on YouTube, so you can reach out to Amal if you have any question or any feedback that you want to give out. Thank you again. Thank you everyone for joining. Thank you so much. I will be dropping it on the Telegram group as well. Also, I will be sharing the slide on the Telegram just in case you want to just go over it. I'll learn a couple of things there that you probably missed. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Jasmine. Thank you, Sedum. I keep calling you Joseph. I don't know. I know you like to prefer the words the other name. Thank you, Sedum. Amal, are you the best? Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, everyone. And I will be ending the session in 20 or 10 minutes time. So feel free if you want to, the session is over, if you want to go out. Right now is just for a time for you to just network. So I'll be stopping the recording. And also for those on YouTube, I'm afraid this is it for us. Bye everyone on YouTube. And yeah, so